The system is starting. You have been chosen to hear this. It is not by accident. In a world filled with noise, where everyone is quick to speak, quick to judge, you are being invited into a space of sacred silence, or a place where there is no opinion, no pressure, no expectations. It is just you and the voice that truly needs to be heard. Today, I have not come to add noise to your life. I have come to remind you, it is in silence that your soul is healed, and your mission begins.
There are truths in life that only a few truly understand. Truths hidden from the masses but revealed to those who have been chosen. Throughout history, God has marked His people, not with visible signs, but with spiritual seals that set them apart from the world. These marks are invisible to human eyes, yet undeniable to those who carry them. You might think that being chosen means a life of ease, filled with wealth, comfort, and luxury. But the reality is far deeper. The truly chosen ones do not measure their worth by riches or possessions, nor do they seek the fleeting pleasures of this world. Instead, they carry something far greater within them, an identity that sets them apart, a purpose that burns deep within their soul. And here's what might surprise you. Not everyone who claims to follow God is truly marked by Him. There is a clear distinction between those who merely speak His name and those who are sealed by His Spirit. The question is, do you bear these marks? Many live under the illusion that they are on the right path, convinced that faith alone is enough. But faith without evidence, without transformation, is empty. The Bible reveals that God's true children bear 7 undeniable marks, signs that cannot be faked, bought, or imitated. These marks separate the chosen from the deceived, the genuine from the false. You need to know what these marks are. You need to examine yourself in the light of God's truth, because in the end there are only 2 kinds of people, those who carry His marks and those who do not. What you are about to hear is not common knowledge. These truths are revealed only to those willing to seek, listen, and surrender to God's calling. If you are still here, it means you are searching for something deeper, something real. And I promise you, by the end of this message, you will see yourself in a way you never had before. A transformed heart. Now, I want to ask you something important. I know your time is valuable, but you are here because you are committed to the love of God. That's why I need you to take a moment and declare something powerful over your life. The Word of God has the power to transform, and when you declare something, you align yourself with that truth. So right now, write in the comments, I trust that God will give me victory to overcome every obstacle. Go ahead and declare it. I will personally acknowledge every response. A transformed heart is the first and most undeniable mark of the chosen. Without it, nothing else matters. A person can have knowledge of Scripture, be involved in religious activities, and even appear righteous before others. But if their heart remains unchanged, they do not belong to God. The Bible is clear. God does not look at outward appearances. He looks at the heart. In Ezekiel 36:26, God promises, I will give you a new heart and put a new spirit in you. I will remove from you your heart of stone and give you a heart of flesh. This is not a superficial change. It's not about modifying behavior or adopting religious rituals. It's about complete transformation from the inside out. Think of Saul, the persecutor of Christians. He was zealous in his religious pursuits, yet his heart was far from God. It wasn't until he encountered Jesus on the road to Damascus that his heart was truly transformed. He became Paul, a man whose entire life was redirected by the power of God's love. This is what happens to the chosen. They do not remain the same. The transformation of the heart is unmistakable. It changes how you love, how you speak, how you think, and how you handle wealth and success. It shifts your priorities. Before, money and luxury might have been your main pursuit, but now you see them as temporary, fleeting. You realize that true riches are not found in material possessions, but in treasures stored up in heaven. Have you ever noticed how some people, despite having all the money in the world, still feel empty? They chase after wealth, thinking it will bring them security, yet inside they remain restless. That's because riches without God leave a void that cannot be filled. But when your heart belongs to Him, even if you have little, you are rich beyond measure. When God changes a person's heart, their desires change as well. They no longer seek to glorify themselves, but to glorify God. They are no longer consumed by greed, but by a deep sense of purpose. They do not measure their worth by what they have, but by who they belong to. The chosen understand this. They know their identity is not in their status, wealth, or achievements, but in the fact that they are children of the Most High. They have been bought with a price, the blood of Jesus. And because of that, they do not live for themselves, but for the one who redeemed them. But here's something crucial. Not everyone who claims to follow God has truly experienced this transformation. Many say they believe, yet their hearts remain unchanged. They still chase after the same things the world does. They still prioritize wealth over faith, comfort over sacrifice. The chosen are different. They see through the deception of temporary pleasures and pursue what is eternal. So the question is, has your heart been transformed? Have you truly surrendered to God in a way that changes everything about you? Or are you still holding on to old patterns, old desires, and the empty promises of the world? The first mark of the chosen is a heart that no longer belongs to itself. It is a heart that has been broken, reshaped, and renewed by God's love. And when that happens, nothing remains the same. Now take a moment and reflect. Does this first mark resonate with you? Have you experienced this transformation in your own life? Because what comes next will reveal even more about what it truly means to be set apart by God. An unwavering love for the truth. There is a fundamental difference between those who casually hear the truth and those who embrace it with unwavering conviction. Many people claim to follow God, but when confronted with hard truths that challenge their comfort, ambitions, and way of life, they turn away. The chosen are different. They do not just listen to the truth, they hunger for it, even when it is inconvenient, even when it costs them everything. The Bible warns of a time when people will no longer endure sound doctrine. Instead, they will seek teachings that align with their desires, choosing comfort over conviction, preference over principle. That time is now. We see it everywhere. Messages that prioritize self over surrender, wealth over wisdom, luxury over holiness. The world tells us that love means accepting everything, but true love, the love of God, corrects, refines, and transforms. The chosen do not compromise on the truth because they understand that truth is not just an idea, it is a person. Jesus himself declared, "I am the way, the truth, and the life." John 14:6. To reject the truth is to reject him. Think about the rich young ruler. He came to Jesus seeking eternal life, convinced he was on the right path. But when Jesus told him to sell his possessions and follow him, the young man walked away sorrowful. Why? Because he loved his wealth more than he loved the truth. He wanted salvation, but not at the cost of his comfort. He wanted God, but he also wanted to keep his riches, his luxury, his status. And in the end, he chose the temporary over the eternal. The chosen are not like this. When they hear the truth, they do not shrink back. When God calls them to let go of something, they obey. They know that wealth and possessions are not evil, but when they become more important than God, they become chains. The question remains, do you love the truth even when it challenges you? Because those who are truly chosen do not seek comfort, they seek transformation. Love one and despise the other. You cannot serve both God and money. Matthew 6:24. Does this mean God is against wealth? No. Abraham was wealthy. Job was restored to even greater prosperity after his trials, and Solomon was given riches beyond measure But the difference is that these men did not serve their wealth. They served God. They understood that riches are a tool, not a God. Luxury is temporary, but truth is eternal. The chosen do not measure their lives by financial success, but by their obedience to God. They do not ask, how much can I gain, but how much can I surrender? They are willing to walk away from anything that competes with their devotion to Christ. So what about you? Do you love the truth enough to let it transform you, or do you only embrace it when it aligns with your desires? Have you ever resisted God because His truth demanded something difficult? This is the second mark of the chosen. They do not bend the truth to fit their lives. They bend their lives to fit the truth. Because of this, they are unshakable. They cannot be deceived, they cannot be bought, and they will never exchange eternal riches for temporary comfort. But there is something even deeper that sets the chosen apart. Something that becomes evident in the hardest moments of life. Keep listening, because what comes next is a test that only the truly chosen can endure. Perseverance through trial. There is a painful yet undeniable reality about the chosen. They do not live easy lives. They are tested, refined, and put through the fire. Many believe that following God should bring immediate blessings, wealth, and comfort. But the Bible paints a different picture, one where those truly chosen by God walk through suffering, opposition, and trials that test their faith to its very core. Jesus Himself told His disciples, "In this world you will have trouble, but take heart, I have overcome the world." John 16:33. Notice that He did not say you might have trouble, but you will. The chosen are not exempt from hardship. They are strengthened through it. Look at Job. He was a man of immense wealth, respected and prosperous, yet in a single moment he lost everything. His riches, his family, his health. But what set Job apart was not what he had, but how he responded when everything was taken from him. He refused to curse God. He refused to abandon his faith. And in the end, because of his perseverance, God restored him and blessed him even more than before. The same is true for us today. Trials come in many forms. Some lose financial stability. Others face rejection, betrayal, or even persecution for their faith. But the chosen do not give up. They understand that their suffering is not meaningless. Every hardship they endure has a purpose. God uses it to refine them, to separate the genuine from the counterfeit, to strengthen their faith so that they become unshakable. Some people follow God only when things are going well. They are faithful when their bank account is full, when their health is strong, when life is comfortable. But the moment difficulty comes, they turn away, questioning God, complaining, and losing heart. This is the difference between those who are truly chosen and those who are not. The chosen remain faithful, not because their circumstances are easy, but because their faith is real. The Bible says, "Blessed is the one who perseveres under trial, because having stood the test, that person will receive the crown of life that the Lord has promised to those who love Him." James 1:12. This is the reward of perseverance. Those who endure, who do not waver, who hold on to their faith even when everything around them is falling apart. These are the ones who prove they are truly chosen. Think of Daniel. He was taken from his home, forced to live in a foreign land, surrounded by a culture that worshiped false gods. Yet he never compromised. Even when faced with the lion's den, he remained steadfast. And because of his unwavering faith, God not only delivered him, but elevated him in the eyes of kings. The same God who rescued Daniel, the same God who restored Job, is the God who walks with His chosen ones today. And here is something powerful. Trials are often a sign that you are truly chosen. The enemy does not attack those who are no threat. If you find yourself facing opposition, difficulties, and challenges that seem relentless, it may not be because you are forgotten by God, but because you are set apart by Him. The world teaches that wealth, luxury, and success are the ultimate goals. But the chosen understand that true riches are not measured in money, but in faith. They do not chase after temporary prosperity. They seek eternal glory. If this message resonates with you, if you have endured trials and yet remained faithful, if you understand the cost of being chosen, then let this be your declaration. Take a moment and hit the like button. When you do, you are not just supporting this message, you are declaring that you will stand firm no matter the storm. And remember this, trials are not the end of your story. For the chosen, every hardship is leading to something greater. But there is something even deeper about those whom God has marked, something that affects every aspect of their lives, shaping not only their destiny, but the way they live each day. Keep watching, because what comes next reveals a desire that only the truly chosen possess, a desire for holiness. There is something undeniable about those who are truly chosen by God. It is not just their faith, their perseverance, or their knowledge of Scripture. It is something deeper, an unshakable desire for holiness. They do not just want to be better people, they want to be set apart. They long to be pure, to be different, to live in a way that pleases God regardless of what the world around them is doing. The Bible makes it clear, but just as he who called you is holy, so be holy in all you do. For it is written, be holy, because I am holy. 1 Peter 1, 15-16. This is not a suggestion, it is a command. Holiness is not optional for the chosen. It is a defining mark of who they are. Many people believe that as long as they believe in God, they can live however they want. But the chosen understand that faith without obedience is empty. They do not pursue holiness because they fear punishment. They pursue it because they love God. Their hearts are transformed, and that transformation changes everything. The way they think, the way they speak, the way they spend their time, and yes, even the way they handle wealth, money, and success. Holiness is not about living in isolation. It is not about rejecting everything in the world or avoiding success. Some of the most faithful servants of God, Joseph, Daniel, Abraham, were people of great influence and wealth. But what set them apart was not their riches, but their commitment to purity in the midst of a corrupt world. Look at Joseph. He was thrown into a pit, sold as a slave, and later became a powerful ruler in Egypt. He had access to everything, money, power, luxury. But when faced with temptation, when Potiphar's wife tried to seduce him, he did not hesitate. He fled. Why? Because he understood that no amount of power or pleasure was worth compromising his holiness before God. This is what the chosen do. They guard their hearts. They do not play with sin. They do not try to see how close they can get to the edge without falling. They walk in purity, not because they have to, but because they want to. But here's the challenge. Holiness is costly. It often means standing alone. It means making choices that separate you from the world. That others do not understand means saying no to things the world celebrates. The world tells us to pursue pleasure, to chase after more wealth, more success, more indulgence. But the chosen are not led by their desires, they are led by the Spirit of God. And here is something powerful. Holiness is not just about what you avoid, it is about what you pursue. It is not just about staying away from sin, it is about chasing after righteousness. The chosen do not simply reject what is wrong, they cling to what is right. Have you ever felt like you do not fit in? Like the things that once satisfied you no longer do? This is the mark of someone being transformed by God. He is setting you apart, making you different. But holiness is not just about avoiding sin. It is about reflecting God's character. It is about walking in love, patience, and humility. It is about treating wealth and success not as gods, but as tools to serve Him. The chosen understand that true riches do not come from what they own, but from who they are in Christ. They do not measure their lives by their possessions, but by their obedience. This is why the world does not understand them. To the world, holiness looks like restriction, but to the chosen, it is freedom. The freedom to live without the chains of sin, without the weight of compromise, without the guilt of half-hearted devotion. But there is another mark of the chosen, something evident in every part of their lives. It is not just how they live, it is how they connect with God. Those who are truly chosen do not just believe in prayer, they depend on it. And what comes next will reveal a life of powerful prayer. There is something undeniable about those truly chosen by God. They are not just people of faith, they are people of prayer. But not just any prayer, prayer that moves mountains, shifts atmospheres, and brings heaven's will to earth. The chosen do not see prayer as a religious duty or a last resort in times of crisis. They see it as their lifeline, their connection to the very presence of God. The Bible commands us to pray without ceasing, 1 Thessalonians 5:17. But what does that really mean? Does it mean spending hours in a church repeating the same words? No. It means living in constant communication with God. It means that prayer is not just something you do, it is who you are. Look at the greatest men and women in Scripture. They were not just people of knowledge or wisdom, they were people of prayer. Daniel prayed 3 times a day, even when it meant facing death in a lion's den. Elijah prayed and fire fell from heaven. Hannah prayed and her barren womb was opened. Jesus himself, God in the flesh, constantly withdrew to pray. If Jesus, the Son of God, needed prayer, how much more do we? But here is something important. The chosen do not pray just to get things from God. They do not treat prayer like a transaction, asking only for riches, success, or luxury. They pray because they long to be in God's presence. They pray because they know that real wealth is not measured in money, but in intimacy with Him. Many see prayer as a way to get more money, more influence, more success. But the chosen see prayer as a way to give more of themselves, more of their hearts, more of their devotion. They are not focused on what God can do for them. They are focused on how they can align themselves with His will. Because of this, their prayers carry power. They are not weak, empty words. They are declarations of faith that shake the kingdom of darkness. But here is something few realize. The greatest prayers are often born in the deepest struggles. The chosen learn to pray not in moments of comfort, but in moments of desperation, when everything is falling apart, when they have no money, no security, no way out. This is when they press into God the most. Look at Job. After losing everything, his wealth, his family, his health, he did not turn away from God. He fell to the ground in worship. He cried out, but he did not curse. He questioned, but he did not abandon his faith. And in the end, because he remained faithful in prayer, God restored everything to him, and even more. This is the difference between the chosen and everyone else. The chosen do not pray only when things are good. They pray when things are falling apart. They pray when they do not understand. They pray when the world tells them to give up. Because of that, their faith is unshakable. But here is the question. What does your prayer life look like? Is it strong, consistent, and filled with faith? Or is it something you turn to only when you need something? Do you pray with boldness, knowing that God hears you? Or do you hesitate, unsure if your words really make a difference? The chosen know the truth. Prayer is not just about changing situations, it is about changing them. It molds their hearts, aligns their desires with God's, and strengthens their faith. This is why they never stop praying. But there is still more that sets the chosen apart. It is not just their faith, their holiness, or their prayers. There is something even greater, something that proves without a doubt who truly belongs to God. What comes next will reveal the unmistakable evidence of who the chosen really are. The fruit of the Spirit. There is something that cannot be faked, something that separates the truly chosen from those who only claim to follow God. It is not how much scripture they know, how often they go to church, or how many religious words they speak. It is something deeper, something that flows naturally from their lives. It is the fruit of the Spirit. Jesus made it clear, by their fruit you will recognize them, Matthew 7:16. The chosen are not identified by their words, but by the evidence of their transformation. This evidence is not material wealth, status, or luxury. It is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control 10,000 years ago. Now, this is too big for me to tell you right now, but I think we can get through. Think about it. You can tell a tree by its fruit. An apple tree does not need to announce that it is an apple tree. You simply see the apples growing on it. In the same way, those who are truly chosen by God do not need to prove it with arguments or titles. Their lives speak louder than their words. The problem today is that many believe being chosen means having external success. They think it means having riches, influence, and comfort. But the Bible does not say by their wealth you will recognize them. It does not say by their social status you will recognize them. It says by their fruit. Look at the life of Jesus. He did not come to earth as a wealthy king. He did not seek power or luxury. He walked in humility, love, and sacrifice. He had no home, no riches, no earthly throne. And yet he carried more power than any ruler, more authority than any king. Why? Because he bore the fruit of the Spirit in its purest form. The chosen are the same. They do not seek validation from the world. They do not measure success by money, fame, or possessions. Instead, they measure it by how much they reflect Christ. But bearing fruit is not always easy. It requires surrender. It requires dying to self. Jesus said, unless a grain of wheat falls to the ground and dies, it remains alone. But if it dies, it produces much fruit. John 12:24. The chosen understand this. They know that to truly live, they must first die to their selfish desires, their pride, the things that once controlled them. And when they do, something amazing happens. They begin to love in ways they never thought possible. They find joy even in suffering. They walk in peace even when everything around them is in chaos. They become patient, kind, faithful. They do not just believe in God, they become living proof of His presence. But in actions, when the fruit of the Spirit is present, there is no denying who you truly belong to. Now, I want to ask you to do something powerful. If this message has spoken to you, if you know someone who needs to hear this truth, take a moment and share this video. You never know how much one message can change a life. Yet there is still one final mark of the chosen that seals everything we have spoken about. It is the ultimate proof, the undeniable sign that separates God's people from the rest of the world. If you have this, you can be sure that you belong to Him. Get ready, because what comes next will reveal the most powerful truth yet, the seal of God. There is one final mark that distinguishes the chosen from the rest of the world. It is not something you can buy, fake, or achieve through human effort. It is something that only God Himself can place upon His people. It is the seal of God. The Bible makes it clear, and do not grieve the Holy Spirit of God with whom you were sealed for the day of redemption, Ephesians 4:30. This seal is not a visible mark, but it is undeniable. It is the evidence that a person belongs to God, that they have been set apart for something greater, that they carry an eternal identity that cannot be erased. Throughout Scripture, God has always marked His people. In the Old Testament, He set Israel apart, giving them laws and commands that made them distinct from the surrounding nations. In the New Testament, He marked His followers with the Holy Spirit, a seal that identified them as His own. And in the last days, the book of Revelation speaks of a final sealing where God's people will be unmistakably separated from the rest of the world. This seal is not for everyone. It is not given to those who simply claim to believe. It is given to those who live in obedience, who walk in faith, who surrender fully to the will of God. Many people want the benefits of being chosen, but few are willing to pay the price of true discipleship. Look at Noah. He lived in a time of great wickedness, a time when the entire world had turned away from God. Yet, because he was faithful, because he walked in obedience, God sealed him inside the ark, protecting him from the judgment that came upon the earth. The same is true today. The world is moving further away from God. People are chasing after riches, success, and luxury, believing that these things will bring them security. But in the end, only those who are sealed by God will stand. Only those who truly belong to Him will endure. This seal is not about religion. It is not about following rules or tradition. It is about relationships. It is about knowing God personally, walking with Him daily, being filled with His Spirit and living according to His will. The chosen understand this. They do not put their trust in money, possessions, or human achievements. They trust in God alone. They know that their true wealth is not in what they own, but in who owns them. But here is something you need to understand. Being sealed by God does not mean you will not face trials. It does not mean you will not be tested. In fact, the enemy will fight even harder against those who carry this mark. But no attack, no challenge, no storm can remove what God has placed upon you. This is why the chosen walk with confidence. They do not live in fear because they know they belong to God. They do not compromise because they know they have been set apart. They do not seek the approval of the world because they already carry the approval of the only one who truly matters. And now the question is this: do you have this seal? Have you truly surrendered your life to God in a way that marks you forever? Or have you been living with one foot in the world and one foot in the faith? The time is coming when the difference between the chosen and the rest of the world will be unmistakable, and when that day comes, there will be no middle ground. You will either be sealed by God or marked by the world. So take this moment to reflect. This is not about fear, it is about truth. It is about knowing where you stand. It is about making a choice that will define your eternity. And now, everything we have spoken about leads to one final conclusion, one that will challenge you, inspire you, and call you to something greater. Because knowing these marks is not enough. You must decide what you will do with this knowledge. And what comes next is a decision that only you can make. Now that you have seen the 7 marks of the chosen, the question is no longer whether they exist, but whether they exist in you. Have you truly been set apart? Do you bear these undeniable signs of belonging to God? This is not about simply believing in God. Even demons believe, and they tremble, James 2:19. This is about surrender, about transformation, about living a life that unmistakably reflects His presence. The chosen are not defined by words, but by action. They do not speak of faith, they walk in it. They do not just acknowledge the truth, they are shaped by it. Look back at the 7 marks: a transformed heart, an unwavering love for truth, perseverance through trials, a desire for holiness, a life of powerful prayer, the fruit of the Spirit, and ultimately the seal of God. These are not characteristics that can be faked. They are the result of a life fully surrendered to God. So ask yourself, do these marks define me? If not, then now is the time to change. Now is the time to stop living in half commitment, to stop holding on to things that pull you away from God. Because the truth is this: there will come a time when it will be too late to decide. The Bible warns us that the day is coming when the wheat will be separated from the weeds, when the faithful will be set apart from the faithless, and in that moment only those who truly belong to God will stand. But here is the good news: God is calling you today. He is giving you the opportunity to step into your true identity, to walk in the fullness of His calling, to become everything He created you to be. So now I ask you, what will you do with this knowledge? Will you ignore it and continue living as you have? Or will you allow it to transform you? This is your moment. This is your opportunity to align yourself with God's will like never before. And if this message has spoken to you, if you feel God stirring something in your heart, then take action right now. Subscribe to this channel so you can continue receiving powerful revelations that will strengthen your faith. Like this video if you are ready to walk as one of the chosen, and most importantly, share this message with someone who needs to hear it. Because the truth you just received is not meant to stay with you, it is meant to reach others. And before you go, watch the next video that is appearing on your screen. It will take you even deeper into this journey of understanding what it truly means to be set apart by God. This is your calling. This is your moment. Step into it. Have you ever experienced the sting of betrayal, the kind that fractures your trust, shatters your heart, and leaves you questioning your worth? Just as you begin to heal, they reappear, empty-handed, full of old promises. They knock on the very door they once slammed in your face, and your heart whispers, maybe they've changed. But listen carefully. It's not about what they say, it's about what they did. You owe it to yourself to see the reality, not the illusion. You don't need another cycle of pain. You need clarity, strength, and peace. When someone who has hurt you re-enters your life, the first step is to step back and evaluate their true intentions with a discerning mind. This isn't a moment for nostalgia, wishful thinking, or blind hope. It's a moment for deep reflection and unflinching honesty. Understanding their real motives is not just about shielding yourself from potential harm, but about safeguarding your peace, progress, and self-worth. People often return after causing pain, not because they suddenly recognize your value or genuinely regret their actions, but because they feel a void in their own lives. Loneliness can be a powerful motivator. Perhaps the grass wasn't greener on the other side. Perhaps the people they turned to couldn't provide the comfort, loyalty, or love you once gave so freely. Their return might feel like validation of your worth, but be careful not to mistake their emptiness for genuine remorse. The two are not the same. Others come back seeking to ease their guilt. When they hurt you, whether through neglect, betrayal, or selfishness, they likely carry the weight of that wrongdoing. But here's the hard truth. Their guilt is not your responsibility to resolve. If they return simply to unburden themselves, to hear you say it's okay, or to seek forgiveness without offering tangible change, their return is more about them than it is about you. Pay attention to whether their actions are self-serving or reflect a true desire to make amends. Convenience can also play a significant role in why someone reappears. When life becomes difficult and their options narrow, they may remember the comfort and stability you once provided. You might have been their safe harbor, their emotional anchor. But you must ask yourself, are they coming back because they now truly see your worth, or because it's easier to return to you than to face the challenges of building something new? There is a vast difference between being chosen for convenience and being chosen out of genuine love and respect. Some people return when they can no longer control you from a distance. When you begin to move on, when your healing becomes visible and your growth undeniable, it threatens their sense of power. They might reach out, not out of love or reconciliation, but to reassert their influence, to remind you of the connection you once shared, or to keep you within their grasp. This is especially true when the person thrived on manipulation or emotional control. Their return isn't about treating you right, it's about maintaining a hold over you. Nostalgia can also drive their return. Time has a way of softening memories, painting even the most painful relationships in a rosier light. They might recall the laughter, the love, the shared moments, while conveniently forgetting the pain they caused. But nostalgia is a poor guide for making decisions about the future. Memories can be deceptive for both them and you. If they are returning because they are clinging to an idealized past, it is crucial to remind yourself of the full picture, the joy and the wounds, the love and the betrayals. One of the most challenging aspects of understanding someone's true intentions is separating their words from their actions. People often return armed with apologies, promises, and declarations of love. They may say everything you've ever wanted to hear, weaving a story of regret and transformation. But words, no matter how eloquent, are not enough. True intentions are revealed through consistent, meaningful action over time. Look closely. Are they making an effort to understand how they hurt you? Are they taking concrete steps to rebuild trust? Or are they relying on empty promises, hoping their words alone will be enough to win you back? It is equally important to consider whether their return aligns with your needs and boundaries. If they truly care about you, they will respect your healing process. They won't rush you or pressure you to accept them back on their terms. Instead, they will show patience, humility, and a willingness to put in the work. If their return feels rushed, if they dismiss your concerns or try to downplay the pain they caused, it's a sign their intentions may not be as pure as they claim. A deeper layer to understanding their motives is examining past patterns of behavior. Have they done this before? Have they left and come back multiple times, creating a cycle of hurt and reconciliation? If so, their return might not signify change, but rather a continuation of that cycle. People who have truly changed will not only acknowledge their past mistakes, but will take proactive steps to ensure they never repeat them. Ultimately, understanding their true motives requires you to listen to your intuition. Deep down, you often know when someone's actions don't match their words. You feel it in the pit of your stomach, in the quiet moments when doubt lingers. Don't ignore those feelings. They are your internal warning system, guiding you toward the truth. Trust yourself to recognize when someone's intentions are sincere and when they are not. Taking the time to evaluate their real intentions isn't just about protecting yourself from further harm. It's about reclaiming your power, honoring your worth, and refusing to settle for anything less than you deserve. You are not obligated to welcome someone back simply because they've returned. Their intentions, no matter how well disguised, cannot override your right to peace, happiness, and respect. When someone who hurt you re-enters your life, take a moment to reflect on why they left in the first place. This isn't about holding on to resentment or reopening old wounds. It's about clarity. People leave for a variety of reasons, and often those reasons say more about them than they do about you. To move forward wisely, you must confront those truths, no matter how painful. When they left, it may have felt like rejection, as if it were a statement about your worth. But often, people don't leave because you were lacking. They leave because they were. Maybe they weren't ready for the depth of what you were offering. Maybe your love illuminated parts of themselves they weren't ready to face. Emotionally immature individuals often run from the very thing they claim to want. Their departure wasn't about you not being enough. It was about them not being capable of meeting the standard your love required. For some, leaving is about avoidance. They don't want to face hard conversations, accountability, or the effort a real relationship demands. When conflict arises, rather than working through it, they take the easy way out. This kind of departure leaves you with unanswered questions. But remember, avoidance is not a sign of strength or independence. It's a sign of emotional immaturity. Others leave because they believe the grass is greener elsewhere. This is painful because it makes you question your worth, but understand this. When someone leaves in search of something better, it reflects their own unmet desires and unrealistic expectations. They fail to realize that true happiness isn't found in chasing novelty. It's cultivated in growth, commitment, and understanding. Some people leave to maintain control. When they sense you growing stronger, they may return, not out of love, but to regain the upper hand. It's crucial to recognize these dynamics for what they are. Others leave because they simply weren't invested enough. Their return should make you question whether they genuinely value you now or simply took you for granted before. In the end, understanding why they left helps you determine whether their return is meaningful or merely a repetition of the past. Be wise, be strong, and most of all, remember you deserve more than recycled love. You deserve something real. When someone returns after leaving, it is essential to question whether their comeback stems from genuine growth and understanding or merely a fear of being alone. Often, people walk away for selfish reasons, prioritizing their desires, ambitions, or personal needs over the relationship, with little regard for how their actions impact you. Whether their departure was due to infidelity, dishonesty, or neglect, the fact remains that they made a choice, one that placed their interests above your well-being. When they return, promising they have changed, it is crucial to assess whether their shift is genuine or if it is just a temporary desire for comfort. Understanding why they left also means acknowledging the emotional toll their absence took on you. This is not about dwelling on the pain, but recognizing how their decision affected your trust, confidence, and self-worth. Wounds caused by their departure do not simply vanish because they decide to come back. Evaluating their return is about determining whether their presence now contributes to your healing or risks reopening old scars. An apology, no matter how heartfelt, is not enough. True change is reflected in their actions. Actions that demonstrate an awareness of the pain they caused and a commitment to doing better. It is also necessary to be honest with yourself about what you truly need and deserve. Their departure may have revealed incompatibilities, unresolved issues, or warning signs you previously ignored. Use this reflection as a chance to clarify your boundaries and priorities. When they return, you will be better equipped to assess whether their presence aligns with the life and love you want for yourself. When someone who has hurt you comes back, they often bring words of apology, regret, and promises of change. They will say they are sorry, that they have grown, and that things will be different. It is tempting to believe these words, especially when they echo the hopes you have been holding on to. However, words require little effort and can be spoken without true commitment. If you are to protect yourself, you must look beyond what they say and focus on what they do. Actions reveal the truth that words often disguise. People use words to manipulate emotions, especially when they feel they are losing their grip on you. They know what you long to hear and how to phrase it in a way that stirs your heart. Apologies can be rehearsed, promises can be made in moments of desperation, and declarations of love can be wielded as weapons to lower your defenses. When they claim to have changed, ask yourself, what evidence have you seen? True growth is not an overnight transformation or a realization that they miss you. It is a process requiring time, effort, and consistency. Without tangible actions supporting their claims, their words are nothing more than a performance. Testing their actions means observing how they behave, not just in grand gestures, but in the small, everyday moments that reveal their true character. Are they following through on their commitments? Are they respecting your boundaries and truly listening to your concerns? Are they making an effort to understand how they hurt you and ensuring it does not happen again? Real change is not about extravagant promises. It is about the difficult, ongoing work of rebuilding trust and demonstrating accountability. Another critical aspect of change is accountability. Do they take full responsibility for their past actions, or do they deflect, minimize, or make excuses? Genuine accountability means acknowledging the hurt they caused without shifting blame or expecting instant forgiveness. If they are truly committed to making amends, their actions will reflect a willingness to earn your trust rather than demand it. They will not pressure you to move on before you are ready, nor will they act as though their return should automatically erase the past. Equally important is how they respond to your boundaries. Setting boundaries is essential in protecting your emotional well-being after someone has hurt you. If they are serious about rebuilding the relationship, they will respect these boundaries without resistance or guilt-tripping. They will not pressure you to let them back in on their terms or manipulate you into lowering your guard. Instead, they will exhibit patience and understanding, recognizing that regaining your trust is a privilege, not a right. Consistency is a key indicator of true change. Doing the right thing once or twice is easy. Real transformation is demonstrated through steady, unwavering integrity. If their behavior is inconsistent, attentive, and respectful one moment, but distant or dismissive the next, it suggests that their actions do not align with their words. True change is not sporadic or conditional. It is a continuous effort that builds trust over time. Conflict is another revealing test. In the past, they may have responded to challenges by walking away, lashing out, or shutting down. If they claim to have grown, their approach to conflict should reflect that growth. Are they willing to engage in difficult conversations without becoming defensive? Do they listen to your perspective and take responsibility for their role in past issues? The way they handle conflict now will indicate whether they have developed the emotional maturity needed for a healthy, lasting relationship. Observing how they treat others is just as important. When trying to win someone back, people often put on a facade. However, their true character is revealed in their interactions with those around them. Are they consistently kind and respectful, or do they display patterns of selfishness, entitlement, or disregard for others? How they treat people in everyday situations provides valuable insight into whether their behavior aligns with the values they claim to uphold. Additionally, it is crucial to evaluate whether they have taken steps to address the root causes of their past behavior. If their departure was due to unresolved personal struggles such as insecurity, fear of commitment, or poor communication, have they actively worked to resolve these issues? Genuine growth requires effort and intentionality. Without addressing underlying problems, their return is unlikely to lead to a different outcome. You must also consider whether their actions align with your needs and priorities. It is not enough for them to simply want to return. They need to show a genuine commitment to supporting your well-being and contributing to a healthy relationship. Are they making an effort to understand your needs and meet them consistently? Are they prioritizing your emotional safety and demonstrating that they value your happiness? Their actions should reflect a desire for a partnership built on mutual respect, not one-sided expectation. Trust your instincts. Your intuition often picks up on subtle cues that logic may overlook. If something about their behavior feels off, do not dismiss those feelings. Your gut is a powerful tool for discerning whether their actions align with their words. Pay attention to how their presence makes you feel. Do you feel safe, valued, and respected? Or do you feel uneasy, uncertain, and mistrustful? Testing their actions means observing both what they show you and how their actions resonate with you on a deeper level. Setting clear boundaries is not about shutting people out, but about creating a space where you can be your authentic self, free from manipulation, disrespect, or emotional harm. When someone who has hurt you returns, it is natural to feel tempted to give them another chance. However, without boundaries, you risk reopening old wounds or repeating unhealthy patterns. Boundaries serve as your armor, ensuring that you receive the respect and care you deserve. The first step in setting boundaries is recognizing your right to define the terms of your relationships. You are not obligated to accept someone back simply because they return. Saying no is not a sign of weakness or unforgiveness. It is an act of self-care. You are not required to welcome someone back into your life just because they regret their actions. Instead, you must ask whether their return aligns with your healing, growth, and the future you are building for yourself. A critical part of boundary setting is identifying your needs. What do you require to feel safe? What do you need to maintain your peace? Boundaries are not about punishment, but about safeguarding your emotional and mental well-being. You are responsible for your own healing and happiness, not for how the other person reacts to your boundaries. Once you have identified your needs, communicate them clearly and firmly. Boundaries that are not communicated are easily disregarded. Do not apologize for asserting what you need, nor should you feel guilty for protecting your peace. You deserve relationships that honor your worth. To feel safe and respected, it can be tempting to accommodate others or downplay your needs in an effort to keep the peace. But doing so only leads to resentment and emotional exhaustion. Be clear about what you will and will not tolerate, and stand firm in your decisions. If someone is truly invested in rebuilding a relationship with you, they will respect your boundaries. If they disregard them, it is a clear sign that they are not ready to be a positive force in your life. One of the most powerful aspects of setting boundaries is granting yourself permission to prioritize your own needs. When someone re-enters your life, it is natural to focus on their feelings, to seek to understand their perspective, and to accommodate their requests. But in doing so, you risk losing sight of your own needs and desires. Setting boundaries means placing your well-being at the forefront and recognizing that your feelings are just as important as theirs. You do not need to sacrifice your emotional safety or happiness for someone else's comfort. Boundaries also serve as a reminder that respect is not optional. It is fundamental to any healthy relationship. Respect goes beyond simply avoiding harmful behavior. It is about honoring each other's emotional space and needs. When someone has hurt you, it is crucial to establish boundaries that reflect the respect you deserve. If they refuse to meet those boundaries, it reveals that their return is not about growth or making amends, but rather about seeking something from you without considering your needs. Setting boundaries requires self-awareness. You must understand your emotional triggers, vulnerabilities, and the patterns that led to the hurt in the first place. By recognizing your emotional limits, you can create boundaries aligned with your needs. If past interactions with this person involved emotional manipulation or gaslighting, your boundary might be to avoid conversations that feel emotionally charged or manipulative. If they have shown a pattern of disrespect, your boundary might be to only engage in discussions that are calm and respectful, with clear agreements about how you both will treat each other moving forward. It is also important to recognize that setting boundaries is not a one-time event. It is an ongoing practice. As you continue to engage with someone who has hurt you, your needs and boundaries may evolve. You may feel more or less comfortable with certain interactions over time, and that is okay. Your boundaries should always reflect your current emotional state and your ongoing healing process. If someone crosses a boundary, it is essential to reinforce it consistently and kindly. Allowing small violations to slide can lead to bigger issues later. Be prepared for pushback. People who have hurt you in the past may not immediately understand or accept your boundaries, and that is okay. They may argue, become defensive, or try to manipulate you into lowering your standards. Their reaction is not a reflection of your worth or your right to set boundaries. It is a reflection of their inability to respect your emotional needs. Stay firm in your commitment to protecting yourself. It is not your responsibility to make them comfortable with your decisions. It is your responsibility to ensure you are at peace with the choices you make. Setting boundaries also means being prepared to walk away if your needs are not met. If someone continues to disrespect your boundaries or refuses to acknowledge your emotional needs, you have the right to disengage. Walking away is not an act of punishment, it is an act of self-preservation. You are not responsible for their emotional reaction to your boundaries, but you are responsible for protecting your mental and emotional health. If someone truly values you, they will respect your boundaries, even if it takes time for them to fully understand their importance. Boundaries are not just about protecting yourself from others. They are about protecting your peace and ability to move forward. When you set clear boundaries, you create space for healing. You gain the emotional distance needed to assess the situation, determine whether this person deserves a place in your life again, and decide what kind of relationship you want to cultivate. Boundaries allow you to make decisions from a place of clarity rather than from emotional pressure or past attachments. In doing so, you not only protect your emotional well-being, but also empower yourself to build relationships that honor your worth. When someone who has hurt you returns, it can be tempting to let them in again. Their words, apologies, and promises of change can feel convincing, even genuine. But the truth is, your healing is far more important than their return. It always will be. Prioritizing your healing means creating a foundation built not on hope or fleeting emotions, but on strength, self-respect, and the recognition that you deserve to move forward in a way that serves you. The first step in valuing your healing is acknowledging that it must be your priority. Above the person who hurt you, above their apologies, above your own guilt or longing for closure, you have worked hard to heal. You have invested time, effort, tears, and deep self-reflection to rebuild yourself. Allowing someone back in without regard for how it may impact your healing risks undoing all the progress you have made. Their return could drag you back into the chaos, confusion, and hurt you have fought to escape. You must ask yourself, do you value your growth, your peace, and your future? Or do you want to relive the hurt because it feels familiar? Healing should never depend on someone else's actions. It is easy to believe that their return, their acknowledgement of the pain they caused, or their apology will make you whole again. But healing comes from within, not from someone else's approval. The power to heal is within you. If you place your healing in someone else's hands, you give them control over your emotional state, waiting for them to decide if you get to be whole again. But you have already been through that. You have already given someone the power to hurt you. Now, you have the opportunity to take that power back. Healing is not linear. It is not simply about getting over the hurt. It is about learning, growing, and evolving. It means embracing every emotion, the anger, sadness, and fear, and giving yourself the space to feel them without judgment. Healing requires patience, compassion, and most importantly, time. You cannot rush healing just as you cannot rush growth. The longer you prioritize your healing over someone else's return, the more space you allow yourself to fully recover. When someone who hurt you returns promising they have changed, it is natural to want to believe them. After all, who does not want to believe in second chances? But healing is about more than emotional closure. It is about learning from past experiences and using them to build a stronger version of yourself. If you focus too much on their return, you risk minimizing the lessons you have learned. You risk ignoring the red flags and patterns that caused you pain before. Value your healing by focusing on what it has taught you, what boundaries you established, what strengths you uncovered, and how you have grown. Healing is not about erasing the past, but integrating it into who you are now. Every tear, every sleepless night, every moment of doubt has shaped you into someone stronger and more resilient. Prioritizing your healing empowers you to make choices from a place of self-respect rather than emotional dependence. You no longer need external validation. You are already whole. There will be moments when you feel the urge to let them back in, moments of loneliness, moments of doubt. But remind yourself that your peace and well-being are worth more than temporary comfort. Relationships should never come at the expense of your mental health. If someone truly cares about you, they will respect your healing process. They will understand that your growth cannot be rushed or compromised. By valuing your healing, you break free from the patterns that once caused you pain. You no longer seek closure from those who hurt you. You find it within yourself. You move forward not because they finally see your worth, but because you do. You rise, not with anger, but with peace. And in doing so, you step fully into the life that was always meant for you. If you allow someone back into your life without considering how it affects your emotional recovery, you risk falling into old habits, familiar dynamics, and repetitive patterns of behavior. You jeopardize the progress you've made and reopen wounds that have already begun to heal. However, when you make your healing a priority, you establish an emotional safeguard that prevents you from returning to a place that no longer serves you. You learn to discern when someone's return is an opportunity for growth and when it is merely an invitation to repeat the past. There is power in choosing yourself and prioritizing your healing. No matter how strong the temptation is to let them back in, you have already invested so much in your own well-being, growth, and happiness. Do not let someone's return undo that hard work. Do not allow their desires to dictate your emotional state. Your healing is sacred, personal, and entirely yours. By prioritizing it, you send a clear message to yourself and the world. You are worthy of respect, deserving of peace, and committed to moving forward, no matter how difficult it may seem at times. If you let someone back into your life without valuing your healing, you risk losing yourself again. You risk giving them the power to unravel your progress, pulling you back into uncertainty and into a place where you once felt small, powerless, or unimportant. But when you hold your healing above all else, you preserve your sense of self, inner strength, and commitment to the life you are building. You protect your heart and soul from further harm and shape a future defined by your growth, not by the people who come and go. When someone who has hurt you returns, it is natural to want to believe they have changed. After all, they ask for another chance, their words filled with promises of growth, regret, and transformation. However, words alone mean little when it comes to true change. It is easy to say the right things, but much harder to alter the behaviors, attitudes, and patterns that caused harm in the first place. If you have been hurt before, recognizing genuine change is crucial to protecting yourself and making decisions in your best interest. When someone re-enters your life, evaluate their actions rather than their words. True change is demonstrated through what they do, not what they say. Words can be persuasive, sounding sincere, heartfelt, and full of remorse, but they do not heal past damage. If someone truly wishes to be part of your life again, they must prove their commitment through consistent, meaningful actions. Promises without proof are empty, and it is vital to remember that words hold value only when supported by corresponding behaviors. Seeking closure or reassurance is natural, but placing blind faith in promises can leave you vulnerable to the same pain. The hurt you have endured should remind you that actions speak louder than words. And it is those actions that must guide your decision about allowing someone back into your life. The first sign of true change is consistency. Transformation does not happen overnight, nor is it about temporary good behavior or fleeting acts of kindness. Real growth is a gradual process requiring time, effort, and dedication. If someone who has hurt you claims they have changed, you need to observe a sustained pattern of positive change. A person who genuinely wishes to make amends will consistently show improvement, not just when they know you are watching. Examine their behavior over time rather than in isolated moments of charm or apology. Do they continue to demonstrate respect, kindness, and understanding? Are their efforts consistent, or do they fade once they regain your trust? True change is about long-term effort, not short-term manipulation. Another key indicator of genuine transformation is accountability. A person who is truly changed does not avoid taking responsibility for their past mistakes. They do not blame you, external circumstances, or other factors for the harm they caused. Instead, they acknowledge their actions, recognize the pain they inflicted, and sincerely strive to make things right. Accountability means demonstrating a willingness to learn from mistakes, confronting personal flaws, and taking deliberate steps to avoid repeating harmful behavior. When someone claims to have changed, ask yourself, are they taking full responsibility for their actions, or are they deflecting, minimizing, or rationalizing their past behavior? True change comes from honesty, self-reflection, and a willingness to take ownership without making excuses or shifting blame. Observing whether they have made real efforts to grow is equally important. Growth is a continuous process that demands self-awareness, a willingness to challenge old habits, and the courage to address personal shortcomings. If someone who hurt you returns, there should be clear evidence of self-improvement, whether through seeking guidance, working on personal issues, or developing better communication skills. If no effort has been made to change, the same harmful patterns will likely repeat. Transformation is intentional, not accidental. If they have not actively worked on becoming a better person, they may be seeking comfort or validation rather than genuine change. You deserve someone who is committed to growth, not someone hoping you will accept them as they are without any effort to change the behavior that once caused you pain. Empathy is another fundamental aspect of true change. A person who has genuinely transformed will deeply understand the pain they caused. They will acknowledge your emotions, recognize the impact of their actions, and express genuine concern for your well-being. Empathy is not just about saying, "I'm sorry." It is about truly grasping the weight of their behavior and the lasting effects it has had on you. When evaluating change, consider how they treat your feelings. Do they validate your emotions or dismiss them to focus on their own? Do they show care for your healing, or are they only concerned with their desires? True change is rooted in empathy, and it is essential to look for this quality before letting someone back into your life. Trust, once broken, is not easily repaired. If someone has hurt you, they must prove they are worthy of your trust again. Trust is not something to be given freely or based solely on promises. It is rebuilt through consistent actions that demonstrate reliability, integrity, and honesty. A person who is truly changed will not expect trust without proof. They will show through their behavior that they are dependable and that their words align with their actions. If they demand trust without earning it, they are asking too much. Rebuilding trust takes time and effort, requiring sustained consistency in their actions. One of the strongest indicators of genuine change is their respect for your boundaries. Someone who has hurt you in the past may have disregarded your limits or taken advantage of your trust. True change means recognizing past violations and committing to respecting your boundaries moving forward. A person who truly values you will listen to your needs, honor your limits, and avoid repeating past mistakes. If someone disregards your boundaries or makes excuses for not respecting them, it is a sign they have not genuinely changed. Real transformation includes honoring your emotional well-being and ensuring their actions align with your boundaries. Pay attention to how they respond to your growth. If you have healed and grown stronger, a person who truly wants to reconnect will celebrate your progress rather than feel threatened by it. They will support your evolution even if it forces them to confront their own shortcomings. Someone who has not changed may try to diminish your growth, fearing it highlights their own stagnation. Genuine change means respecting your journey and encouraging your continued healing, even if it means they no longer fit into your life the way they once did. True transformation is not about perfection, it is about growth, accountability, empathy, consistency, and respect. When someone who has hurt you returns, observe these qualities in their actions. You deserve to be with people committed to self-improvement, who show integrity and sincerity, and who respect the person you have become. Words may sound reassuring, but actions reveal the truth. Watch closely and trust the process of observing change over time. Only then can you determine whether their return reflects genuine transformation or merely a repetition of past patterns. Choosing yourself is the greatest act of self-love and respect. It is not selfish or unkind, it is recognizing your worth, honoring your boundaries, and protecting your peace. When someone from your past returns, emotions and memories may pull you in, but ultimately you must choose yourself and never apologize for doing so. One of the most important decisions you will ever make is choosing yourself. There is something profoundly powerful about consciously deciding to put yourself first without hesitation and without guilt. For too long, many of us have been conditioned to prioritize the needs of others over our own. We are taught to be selfless, to nurture, to care, and to always be available for others, often at the expense of our mental, emotional, and physical health. But the truth is, if you do not take care of yourself, you cannot truly take care of anyone else. The only way to love and give to others in a meaningful way is to first love and give to yourself, which means choosing yourself unapologetically. When someone who has hurt you returns, they may expect you to open your heart to them immediately, to forgive without question, and to welcome them back into your life. They may hope you will forget the pain they cause, overlook the scars, and move forward as if nothing happened. But the reality is you owe no one your time, energy, or forgiveness if they have not earned it. You do not need to explain yourself, justify your actions, or feel guilty for making the choice to protect yourself. Choosing yourself means you are no longer willing to sacrifice your well-being for the comfort of others. It means understanding that your peace and happiness are more important than the opinions or desires of those who have not treated you with the respect you deserve. One of the hardest parts of choosing yourself is letting go of the guilt that often accompanies it. Many of us have been raised to always consider the feelings of others, even when it comes at a personal cost. We feel guilty for saying no, for setting boundaries, and for prioritizing our own needs. But the truth is, guilt is often a tool used by others to manipulate us into sacrificing our happiness for their convenience. When someone who has hurt you returns, they may try to make you feel guilty for not welcoming them with open arms. They may insist that you should forgive and forget, let go of the past, and move forward. But you do not owe them that. The only guilt you should feel is the guilt of not protecting your peace, of not standing up for your happiness, and of not honoring the boundaries essential for your healing. Choosing yourself means being firm about your boundaries. Boundaries are not negotiable, nor are they something that can be disregarded for someone else's convenience. They are essential for your emotional, mental, and physical well-being and must be respected at all costs. When someone who has hurt you returns, they must respect your boundaries if they wish to have a place in your life. If they cannot, then they are not worth your time, energy, or heart. You do not need to apologize for setting boundaries, nor should you feel guilty for enforcing them. Boundaries are a form of self-respect, and when you choose yourself, you honor those boundaries without hesitation or apology. Choosing yourself also means recognizing your worth and refusing to settle for less than you deserve. When someone who has hurt you returns, they may offer the same empty promises, the same false hopes, and the same hollow apologies, but if you have truly chosen yourself, you will see through the illusion. You will recognize that you deserve far more than the treatment you have previously accepted. You are worthy of love, respect, and kindness, and you should never settle for anything less. When you choose yourself, you refuse to tolerate disrespect, dishonesty, or manipulation. You understand that you deserve to be treated with the same love, care, and attention that you give to others. Choosing yourself means no longer accepting anything that falls short of what you truly deserve. It is also about knowing when to let go. Letting go is often one of the hardest aspects of choosing yourself. We become attached to people, relationships, the idea of what could have been, and the hope that things will change. But sometimes, the best thing you can do for yourself is to walk away. Walking away does not mean you are giving up or that you do not care. It means you value yourself enough to stop investing in something that no longer serves you. If someone who has hurt you returns, you may feel tempted to give them another chance, to believe they have changed and to hope they deserve another shot. But if their return only brings back old pain, if their actions show they have not changed, and if they refuse to respect your boundaries, it is time to let go. Releasing someone who has hurt you is not a sign of weakness, but of strength. It shows you are strong enough to walk away from what no longer aligns with your well-being and best interests. Choosing yourself also means embracing your healing. Healing is a deeply personal journey, one that only you can take responsibility for. No one else can heal you, nor should they be expected to. Healing takes time, patience, and a deep commitment to self-care. When someone who has hurt you returns, It may be tempting to allow them to be part of your healing process, but your healing must come first. You must focus on your growth, your peace, and your well-being before considering allowing them back into your life. Choosing yourself means recognizing that your healing is a priority and should never be compromised for anyone else. It also requires trusting your instincts. Your intuition is often the best guide when deciding who to let into your life and who to keep out. When someone who has hurt you returns, your instincts will likely tell you whether they have truly changed. Trust those instincts, even if they go against what others say or what your heart desires. Emotions can cloud judgment, but your instincts are rooted in wisdom and will never lead you astray. Choosing yourself means listening to your gut and making choices aligned with your highest good. Finally, choosing yourself means learning to love yourself unconditionally. It means embracing who you are, flaws and all, and understanding that you are deserving of love and respect. Choosing yourself is not about perfection, but about self-acceptance, honoring your worth, and refusing to settle for anything less than what truly brings you peace and happiness. When you choose yourself, you affirm that you are worthy of love, peace, respect, and joy, and you refuse to tolerate anything that takes away from that. Choosing yourself is not always easy, especially when someone who has hurt you returns, but it is the most empowering decision you can make. When you choose yourself, you protect your heart, honor your resilience, and refuse to be defined by past pain. You affirm that you are worthy of something better. Choosing yourself is not an apology. It is a declaration of your worth, your value, and your right to be happy, at peace, and love. Your peace is priceless. Do not trade it for another round of heartbreak. Stay strong, stay wise, and remember, you deserve a love that never asks you to question your worth.